What do you think is a ghazal? First of all, we must learn to pronounce the word correctly. It is not ghazal, it is not ghazal, it is a ghazal. A ghazal. A ghazal, we must understand, is actually a form of poetry. It is not a form of singing. It's a form of poetry. This is a fundamental point. Of course, as we have now seen, ghazals are being sung in a particular manner, and therefore ghazals have assumed a certain format when they are presented in the form of a song. But essentially, we must understand that ghazal is a form of poetry. So there are certain fundamental rules that have to be followed for anybody who wants to write a ghazal. The first rule, and the most fundamental rule, is all ghazals are in the form of couplets. That means 2 lines. Do misre. Always they have to be in that form. 2 lines, followed by another 2 lines, followed by other 2 lines, followed by other 2 lines, etc. And that's how the whole thing goes. That means they cannot be 3 lines. The moment you see 3 lines, that cannot be a ghazal. It may sound like a ghazal, it may express feelings as a ghazal expresses, but it's not a ghazal. This is the first rule. So these 2 lines, couplets, are called a sher. S-H-E-R, a sher. So a ghazal may have 1 or more such shares. A ghazal can be made even of 1 sher. That means just 2 lines. There can be a ghazal. But usually a ghazal has 2 to 3 or even 10 or 15 shares. Now the first sher of a ghazal is called the Matla, M-A-T-L-A, and the final sher of a ghazal is called the Maqta, M-A-Q-T-A. So the first sher must have both the Radeef and the Qafiya. Now, what do we mean by Radeef and what do we mean by Qafiya? Qafiya means the rhyming word, and Radeef means the repeating word. The first sher, Matla, must have both. Let's take an example and it will become clear. Sahir Ludhianvi's ghazal, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया. Now in this you see, if you come to the last 2 words, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया. So चला गया comes in the first line, chala gaya also comes in the second line. So these chala gaya are the repeating words, what are known as Radeef. And the rhyming word, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, निभाता चला गया, उड़ाता चला गया, निभाता and उड़ाता. These are the rhyming words. So these rhyming words are called Qafiya. So Radeef and Qafiya both must be present in the first sher. Now the sher that follows, here again we must understand the fundamental rule is the third line must not have Radeef or Qafiya. It must not have. But the fourth line must again have a Radeef or Qafiya. So let us see how that happens with this ghazal. बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फिजूल था. See the last words, फिजूल था. बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया. In the fourth line, we get both the Radeef and the Qafiya. बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता, निभाता, manata. See, that is a rhyming word. So, that is the Qafiya. Manata chala gaya. Again, the chala gaya, the repeating words have come here again. Similar will be the next sher. Similar will be the next sher. जो मिल गया उसी को मुक़द्दर समझ लिया. See, no Radeef or Qafiya in the first line of this sher. जो खो गया मैं उसको भुलाता चला गया. भुलाता, निभाता. This is again the rhyming word. चला गया, repeating word is there. And final sher of this ghazal, which we call the Maqta. गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां. Again there is no Radeef or Qafiya, as you can see here. मैं दिल को उस मकाम तक लाता चला गया. लाता, निभाता. This is the rhyming word. चला गया. So you will understand the basic rule first, that they have to be copulates, what are called sher, 2 lines, 2 lines, 2 lines, 2 lines. There has to be a Matla and there has to be a Maqta. Sometimes if the whole ghazal is not sometimes complete, the Matla may not follow this rule. That has happened a number of times with Ghalib's ghazals because the Matla probably has been removed. But generally this is the rule that is followed. So the Matla, the first sher, will have both the Radeef and the Qafiya. The next, all other shers will not have the Radeef and the Qafiya. This is very important. And the final sher, which is called the Maqta, can have the name of the poet. Here, of course, Sahir Ludhianvi has not given his name. But whenever you find the name of the poet, it will be in the final sher, which is called the Maqta. So that is called, that the poet can give his own name or he can give his pen name, what is called takhallus. So this is the basic format of a ghazal, which is absolutely fundamental. The other rule that you have to follow in the case of a ghazal is that the meter of a ghazal does not change. What is called Behr. So some ghazals are of choti behr, small meter. Some are of longish meter. Lambi behr ki ghazaleं होती हैं. Some are of mid. Now for example, this ghazal is a mid type. See the meter. When I will recite it, you will find exactly it starts at one place and ends at the other place, and it goes perfect. Every line will be, if you write it down in Urdu, it is written also in such a way that it starts at one end and ends at the other end, and all lines are written in that manner. Plus, while reciting a ghazal, no word appears odd or causes you a difficulty while you are reciting it. So see, as I recite this, you will get that feeling. मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया. हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फिजूल था, बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया, जो मिल गया उसी को मुकद्दर समझ लिया, जो खो गया मैं उसको भुलाता चला गया, गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां, मैं दिल को उस मकाम तक लाता चला गया. You will see that there is a certain rhythm and there is a certain absolute perfect form to a good ghazal. That is the meter. So while writing a ghazal, we have to take care, the poet takes care, that the meter of every line is perfect. There is a Matla, which is the first sher. There is a Maqta, where he is allowed the freedom to write his name. All these shares must have a Radeef and a Qafiya, but in all other shares it will be in the second line, but in the case of the Matla, it will be in both the lines. Once this basic format is followed, a poetry is called, poetry shairi is called a ghazal. Also, we must remember that ordinarily, the theme of a ghazal is romance or the description of poetry, but it is not invariably so. The theme of a ghazal can be as varied as human thought. It can be spirituality, it can be patriotism, it can be anything, human nature, anything, any thought, but if it is expressed in this format, it qualifies to be called a ghazal. So the ordinary understanding that ghazal only expresses romance, that whatever is rendered in a soft, caressing manner is a ghazal, or some people have this feeling that all non-filmy songs are ghazals. Somebody who sings very nicely, in an extremely soft manner, he has sung a ghazal. That is not so. Ghazal, essentially, we must understand, is a form of poetry which, as I said earlier, has assumed a distinctive form of singing as well. And therefore, that is how we can immediately spot that this person has sung a ghazal. But you can spot it only if it follows these rules. The other point that we must remember is ghazals can be basically of two forms. One is when it expresses one particular theme that goes, a refrain, it goes through the whole ghazal. That would be called a musalsal ghazal, complete ghazal. It expresses just one theme. But it is not necessary. In fact, most ghazals are not of that form. They are called ghair-musalsal ghazals. What that means is every sher is a complete poetry by itself. Most of the ghazals are of that type. It is not necessary that there should be a recurring theme in the whole poetry. And that's what makes ghazals very eminently quotable. So you can quote just two lines of a ghazal and that expresses the thought completely. Also, another thing which one remembers in these ghair-musalsal ghazals is that usually the first line expresses a question and raises the tension, and then one seeks an answer, and the second line usually gives that answer. So therefore it is, see, it's like a question and an answer. Let's take an example, then it will be clear. The first line, धूप में निकलो, खटाओं में नहा कर देखो. See, what the poet is saying is, Get out into the scorching sun. Get yourself wet in the downpour that takes place. It has raised a tension in your thinking. Why is he saying so? धूप में निकलो, घटाओं में नहा कर देखो. And then he gives the answer. जिंदगी क्या है? जिंदगी क्या है? किताबों को हटा कर देखो. So, you see, the first line has asked a question. Why should I get out into the scorching sun, or why should I be getting wet in the rains? Because this is how life is. Life is not easy. And if you want to understand life, you have to get out and actually experience the trials and the tribulations of living. Zindagi kya hai? This is what is life. Kitabon ko hata kar dekho. You cannot learn it from books. You cannot learn it from theory. You have to learn it from actual life. So the first line tells you that you should be doing a certain thing, but why should you be doing it? It has raised that question. The second line answers it. If you want to really understand what is life, you can understand it only by actually experiencing all the difficulties of life, not by just reading it from books. So usually, these lines, that is why it is complete by itself. See, I can quote it anywhere, or you can quote it anywhere. And that makes a lot of sense by itself. Take another line, another two lines of the same type. दस्तूर इबादत का दुनिया से निराला हो. The poet says, दस्तूर इबादत का दुनिया से निराला हो. My method of doing meditation or by doing prayer is absolutely different from the way in which others do their prayer. So it has raised a question, then what is that method that you are adopting? Dastur ibadat ka duniya se nirala ho. I follow absolutely different method of doing prayer. So the question that arises in your thinking is, okay, what is the type of prayer that I usually just pray to God. दस्तूर इबादत का दुनिया से निराला हो, एक हाथ में माला हो. That is the traditional way. In one hand, I hold a rosary. That is the way you pray. That's the way I pray as well. तो दस्तूर इबादत का दुनिया से निराला हो. But still I have not answered that question. एक हाथ में माला हो, तो that's the way everybody prays. एक हाथ में माला हो, एक हाथ में प्याला हो. So here, this is the different form of poetry that I do. This is a different form of prayer that I do. दस्तूर इबादत का दुनिया से निराला हो. My type of prayer is absolutely different from the type of prayer that others do. In one hand, I hold a rosary. In the other hand, I hold a glass of wine. Therefore, the poet is, in other words, telling that while you are doing your prayer, and while spirituality is so very important, it is also important to enjoy life. Life holds one aspect of spirituality, but the other aspect is of fun. And a complete life, therefore, must have an equal measure of spirituality and an equal measure of mirth, fun, enjoyment. दस्तूर इबादत का दुनिया से निराला हो, एक हाथ में माला हो, एक हाथ में प्याला हो. You see these two lines, when you understand them, they express a certain deep philosophy of life. The first line raises a question or raises a tension, and the second line immediately eases that tension. And that is why when a sher is said, a good sher is said, there is a wah-wah from the audience, or a wah-wah. Why does a wah-wah? Kudos. You do it because the tension that the first line raises is released by the second line. So, while reciting a ghazal, it is not just a recitation, one after the other. One sher is recited, the first line, and that line usually is repeated by the audience or by others. And the second line, which answers the first line, to that there is an exclamation of a wah-wah. And after that, again, the third line raises that tension. So people are waiting. how will he resolve? How will the poet resolve it? And the fourth line again resolves it. And there is a wah-wah. So this wah-wah that is done is very important. If you are in a mehfil where ghazals are being recited, if you are a connoisseur, you will experience the tension that the first line raises and the relief of the tension and that exclamation that comes to you when the second line is recited. So these are some of the subtleties and the nuances of a ghazal which I have described for you. I hope and I pray that you understand what is it that we have talked today, and that helps you in understanding a ghazal as you read it or when you attend a mushaira or a mehfil. And the wah-wah that comes to you is a wah-wah not just because others are doing wah-wah, but that wah-wah is one which comes to you after a deep inner understanding of what is a ghazal. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.